Aloha, I want to show you a quick screencast to go through the unit testing capabilities of BowFolios. BowFolios only tries to do unit testing on the data model, so it tries to check that the interest collection and profile collection, that you can invoke the methods of most interest to it easily and make sure that things the data model can be manipulated correctly. There's no client-side user interface testing right now in BowFolios. That may be added in a future milestone, but it's not there yet. Nonetheless, being able to test your data model to make sure that you can create documents in a collection, retrieve them in various ways, that they have the right relationships to each other, that can be enormously helpful. And what's the good news is that doing that is actually quite easy in Meteor. Though in BowFolios, what happens is we've defined a script in package.json right here called testwatch, and that runs Meteor test with the practical Meteor Mocha test driver, and the results should be displayed on port 3100. So I've invoked that right here, Meteor npm run testwatch, which results in this command being done, and it sets up Meteor and runs it on this other host with an independent MongoDB database separate from. So in fact, you can see I've got the regular Meteor BowFolios app running here. I can run the test driver simultaneous with an actual running application, which is kind of nice. And then if I go to localhost 3100, I'll see on the server side that I've passed tests. And each time I refresh this page, it's going to run these tests again. And in fact, each time I modify the source code, it will then run these tests again. So it's a pretty nice process. And as you can see here, okay, so let's see if the best way maybe is to show both of these at the same time. So I'll refresh here, and if you look down here, you can see we just ran it again. Okay. Now BowFolios has fairly simplistic testing, but it does catch errors actually to do even this amount. The way that it works is that if you create, what you'll notice here is that in my index.js I do not import this file, because these import statements are importing code into the running application. I only want these test files to be imported and run when I'm actually doing testing, which obviously is not part of the production process. So these are interesting files in that they're not included in the index.js. However, when you run this test driver, it's going to look for files with the suffix .test.js and find them and run them, and that's how it works. So let's look at this file. We make sure that we're on the server side because these tests don't make any sense otherwise. We're going to use this Mocha Kai or Chai, JavaScript testing framework. So there's a describe where you say the name of the thing that's going to be tested, and then you pass in a function. And before we we set it up, we're going to, you can see there's a little bit of a we import something from base utilities that's going to remove everything from the database. And after we finish these tests, we're going to remove all entities just to make sure we start off with a clean database. And then we have this kind of it syntax where we pass a string, and the string basically just says what we're actually testing inside here. And then we pass a function, and we go through and we have this define object, which is a name and a description, where the name and the description are here. And we invoke the define method. And then we have this expect function that we call, where we say we expect interests.isDefine docid to be true. So we're testing once we've invoked this define method, we get a docid back, and then we're expecting that docid is defined in the interest collection. Okay, and we have this nice kind of like chaining syntax to check. So you can see all through here we have these various expects, which are tests. If they don't evaluate correctly, then we'll get a failure when in this window here indicating that one of these things didn't pass. But you can see this plus sign shows that it did. Like, just for fun, let's just make this true, and then we'll save it, and then we'll go back here, and we'll notice that we're rebuilding the system. We restart, we run, we have a failure. We go here, expected false to be true, at interest collection.test.js line 35. So let's go back in here. Let's find line 35. Oh my gosh, that's the line. So we'll change that to be false. And we'll save it out again. And we'll go to here, and we rerun again. And as we had hoped, now all of a sudden we've got everything passing. So this is a really nice thing I encourage you to add into your systems, is unit tests just for the data model, just to make sure as you build up all these collections and you start to have relationships between all of them, that the data model works the way you expect it to. And this is an extremely lightweight, minimal hassle way of doing that kind of testing. I think you'll find it very enjoyable.